We are here with Bob Cook, who did a lot of work with World's Championship Wrestling and also was a star in Florida. Want to tell us a little bit about your career for those that are unfamiliar up in Canada?
Well, I had the best time of my life, that much I'll tell you. I was trained by the Great Malenko, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, trainers. And I got no regrets. And I'm not bitter. Clarify. Most guys my age seem to be bitter or complaining about something. I only complain that I got to get up in the mornings, which is why I don't do it.
So you had a bunch of matches with Ric Flair, is that right?
Actually, only one.
One match, okay. You just post about it a lot, so it seems like there's.
I'm a mark for myself, like everybody else. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was awesome working with Flair.
Who are some of the other stars you worked with in WCW?
Oh, geez, everybody. Steamboat, Bobby Eaton, Martin Anderson, the Road Warriors, the Steiner brothers. If they were willing to hurt me, I'd get in a ring with them. But fortunately, they didn't.
Fortunately, they didn't. Well, were you ever intimidated at all going in there with like the Steiner brothers when they had the reputation for kind of roughing up guys?
I wasn't, because they always treated me really well, and they always let me get in my punch or whatever, and they always thanked me after the match. I always thought that, like most guys in the business, if they thought you knew how to work, they're going to treat you different than if they think you don't care or whatever. And my job, I knew what it was. I wasn't egotistical. It was there to make them look good, even though they didn't need my help, but I did my best. And Scott Steiner always used to make sure I took the Frankensteiner because I never screwed it up. So I was never intimidated. I was more scared of screwing up in front of the people, just looking like an idiot. Kind of like now, but millions of people.
Now, with enhancement matches, they don't do them as much anymore. Do you think that's something that's missing in helping get stars over?
No. You know, if people aren't watching the shows now when you got the top stars against the top stars, you're not going to watch them wrestle. Nobody's. I mean, who have they used? They used that. They got Braun Strowman over that way, sort of, right? With Ellsworth and different. But he got a star. Became a star. But I don't think you can ever bring it back.
I see.
But what do I know? I mean, I'm just saying. If you go back and watch the old TBS shows that everybody thinks was the greatest stuff ever, it's mostly a lot of talking, squash matches, and something at the end that didn't finish. Stay tuned next week, you know.
Now, I actually unfortunately missed the audio due to a technical glitch in Florida when you gave the award for the Great Malenko to his son. I'm wondering if you could talk a bit about the Great Malenko now for us.
Well, if I don't start crying, but the Great Malenko was like he was my teacher, father figure, friend, mentor. I've never met anybody in my life like him. He was one of those guys that no matter how you were feeling any day, you know, I think I told that in that speech, was that whatever problems you were having, financial, marital, you know, like if you marry a whore, you have
which many of them did.
Yeah, well, that's how my speech started, I think, wasn't it? But anytime you got done talking to the Great Malenko, you felt like you could take on the world, you know, and you actually felt like he cared when he actually said, "How are you doing?" And if you told him you had a problem, because he lived 1,000 lives, you know. I mean, he traveled the world. He'd been through all the problems, financial, divorce, you know. So he was the answer man, and I loved him, and still do. I love the whole Malenko family. I mean, they were always really good to me. I got to work with Dean tons of times, and phenomenal.
What do you think the wrestling scene's like in Florida now? I know you still live there. It seems to be a lot of wrestling going on.
I don't go to too many shows. I don't want to be the guy in the dressing room that is annoyed by all the people that shake your hand. Look, if I don't know someone, I don't want them shaking my hand. That's just the way. I know a lot of people like that. It's a show of respect, but I've never been a fan of people I don't know coming up and shaking my hand or whatever. But there's a lot of shows, but I don't know if any of them draw. You know, there's a guy in Pablo Martinez, Gulf Coast Wrestling, I think it's called, or in Fort Lauderdale. He draws good, but I can't speak for any of the others because I've been to his shows.
I actually wrestled and defeated him once in Puerto Rico, Pablo Marquez, I guess.
That's it, Marquez. Yeah. Pablo, I apologize. He wants me to do a seminar for him, but I don't know what I'm going to teach. How to get fat and drink Mountain Dew at 55. Tune in.
Are you still stepping in the ring here and there?
Not anymore. You know, I always had, anytime I said I would wrestle again, it was to motivate myself to lose weight and get in shape, and it's always failed. So I've given up.
And I know you're a huge fan of Terry Funk, and you actually know him pretty well. Any stories about him?
I mean, I love Terry Funk. He's always been super cool to me. Gave him my first pair of what I call the Terry Funk boots, the wacky tennis shoe. Well, you saw seen it before.
Bruce Hart also wore them.
That doesn't count because Terry started it, you know. Other people jump motorcycles after Evel Knievel, but no one gives a shit, you know. But anyways, yeah, I mean, Terry was always super cool to me, and I learned just little things along the way, you know. I was with him in Miami once before, the night before he went and beat up Flair in '89. He just had a match with Dusty, but before the match, I was standing by the curtain watching with him. Because anytime I'd go to a show, I'd hang out with Terry when you have a chance, or you're an idiot. But I'm watching, and a kid came up and asked Terry for his autograph, and he was real rude to the kid. And I asked Terry, this is back when kayfabe was just a little bit dead. But I asked him, I said, why'd you treat that kid like crap? And he goes, Bob, if these people see me being nice to this kid and 5 minutes later believe me as this badass I'm going to portray when I walk through that curtain, they're not going to believe it. And that made perfect sense to me. You know, because earlier that day, he treated a security guard like crap, and he treated someone else like crap. Not part of the show. Sorry about that. He would treat people that weren't part of the show as lower life forms, you know, and I thought that was awesome. Live the heel gimmick.
Yeah, he actually told me once that he started being that heel the moment he pulled into the first gas station in the town.
Not being a heel or being a heel?
No, being a heel.
Yeah,
as soon as he pulled into
exactly.
the town, treating everybody like crap.
I loved it. Yeah. And after the show, we were in a bar with him for like 3 hours talking, and he was telling me a story, and these girls came over because they just saw a commercial for Roadhouse, and he was in the commercial. They started bugging him. He was like, hey, can't you see I'm talking to my friend? You just shoot him away, like the heel that he is, you know. But that was the best. And I learned back then, you know, it's like, man, it makes perfect. It's like Elvis not coming out before, you know, the show. But, yeah, I mean, just watching Terry Funk, you can learn. You don't have to talk to him.
And I understand you're going to give me a Jessy Ventura album this week.
That's right, because I don't care about the album, and you expressed interest in it, so you can have it.
What do you think of, obviously you must have liked him at some point if you bought his album.
Actually, a friend gave that to me, but I like Jesse. I always liked Jesse. He was always cool to me personally. He would always give me advice after a match or tell me I did good or bad, and he'd always put me over, you know, in the matches. Cook's got the best punch I've ever seen, whatever. He didn't have to do that. I was just a dirty word jizzobber, which I hate, but, you know.
Yeah, because I guess he was commentating in WCW for some
at that time, yeah, for several years.
And any final thoughts about this week here in Vegas?
Seems to be a lot of drama in the air. I don't know. But I'm glad to be here. I hate having to do a speech because, well, you know, I have a speech impediment that starts with being a coward.
What's the speech that you're doing?
It's not long. I'm just presenting the award to Tony Storm. Tony's a friend of mine, and he asked me to do it. And
that's
like
a future,
I said yes.
Future Legends Award.
I don't know, but I mean, the word legend gets thrown around, you know, more than anything. And every walk of life, everybody's a legend nowadays.
Yeah. That's true. Well, thanks for talking to us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here.
Hey, I appreciate it, and don't forget that record, because I don't want to take it back with me.